Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. So in the month of October, I do try to, or like to read books that just have a very fall-like atmosphere. And if I can read books that are creepy and spooky, I do like to include those as well. I'm hoping to get to all 5 books. 2 of these are going to be carryovers from September. I'm currently filming this video in September, and I do not think I'm going to be able to finish these 2 books by the beginning of October. Additionally, I have been very much mood reading lately. Sometimes I can stick exactly to my TBR, and sometimes I deviate completely. So we'll see if I get to any of these books. But without further ado, I'm going to start with the ones that I'm currently reading. The first one is Nemesis Games by James S.A. Corey. This is book 5 in the Expanse series. I was not planning on continuing with the Expanse series in 2023. Like, I didn't have a goal to just continue reading. But, you know, the audiobooks are at my library and there's usually a long hold for them, but I know that they're there and they're easy for me to listen to via audio. So I've just been continuing, and I am both physically reading this and audiobooking this right now, and I'm on page 92, chapter 9. Actually, I'm a little bit further than this because I've been listening to chapter 9 on the audiobook. So I'm about in the middle of chapter 9. So not yet has the conflict of this book been introduced, so I don't really know what this crew of the Rocinante is going to be dealing with. So I really can't tell you. And to be completely honest, I didn't even read the back of this book. I don't even know what it's about. But I'm just continuing with the story and quite enjoying it so well. Started off just very slow. Holden is currently dealing with Fred Johnson and Ava Sarala, or Ava as I call her, as some politics or political machinations are beginning to develop. So that's where we're at. And this will definitely roll over into October because I know I'm not going to finish it in the next couple days. Next, we have House of Root and Ruin by Aaron A. Craig. This is a YA companion novel to House of Salt and Sorrow, which I read a couple of years ago and absolutely loved. Like, it was to the point where I said if this author published anything else, she would be an auto-buy author for me, and this is her 3rd book. I've also read her other book, Small Favors, which I have a full review for, so I'll link that up in the cards for y'all. But she is a YA fantasy horror writer, and I feel like fantasy horror just is less common. So when I do find an author that writes it and I really enjoy it, like, I want to read all their work. But like I said, this is a companion to House of Salt and Sorrow, and it follows the younger sister named Verity. And in House of Salt and Sorrow, we're following one of the sisters of this manor on the sea. And there were 12 sisters, and slowly, all the sisters are dying by different means. And I think at this point, 6 of the sisters have died. And Verity is the youngest, and she is currently living with her older sister Camille, who is the Duchess of this island. And she is a painter, like a really talented painter, and she gets commissioned by this other Duchess of this other land called Bloem to come paint her son, who is set to inherit everything. So he's like the up and rising Duke. And her older sister Camille will not let her go. And then it's finally revealed that Verity can actually see and interact with ghosts. And she did not know that she was able to do this. So she's taught walking around interacting with ghosts, and it just looks like she's crazy. And the people that have been in her life for her entire life, it was revealed that they were actually spirits. So Verity just realized that. So she ended up sneaking out of the house to go take this commission from this Duchess despite her sister's warning. So she's at this new house, and I tell you what, Aaron A. Craig is so freaking talented at writing atmosphere. Like, oh my goodness, the way that she described this land and this house, and just, it has to do with like gardening and flowers, and oh my gosh, it is so good. Like, I was immediately immersed and wanted to be there, just with the smells and the colors and the imagery. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And she's able to make it a little bit creepy, which I don't know how you make flowers creepy, but she's making them creepy. So we haven't really gotten into like the major conflict of this book yet, or the creepiness of this book yet. So I'm really enjoying it. And I'm on page 138, chapter 15. So I might get done with this before October, but it's about 500 pages, so I might not. Next, we have the Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice. This I have been wanting to read ever since I finished Interview with the Vampire, which was like a year or 2 ago. Interview with the Vampire is one of my favorite books of all time. I do have a full review for that as well. I'll link it up in the cards for y'all. And I just have never continued with the Vampire Chronicles. So October is a great time to do that because it is spooky season and Lestat is a vampire and he has no empathy and he will kill you and, you know, suck your blood. So I do want to continue with this series and his, version of the story. And I do have a hold on the audiobook at my library because I feel like that will help me get through Anne Rice's writing a lot more if I am able to listen to the audiobook also. So hopefully I will get to this one. And then I have Foe by, I think it's pronounced Anne Reid. I picked this up at my library. It's a very short book. It's less than 200 pages, and he's an author that I've wanted to read for the longest time. His work, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, is very popular, and I think his writing is mostly like philosophical type thrillers. And this has been described as a domestic type thriller with a futuristic type element. So we're following a couple and they live in the middle of nowhere on this farm away from the city, just the two of them, when one day someone comes to tell the husband that he has been chosen, I guess they don't have a choice, to go on this mission into space. But they're going to send someone to stay with his wife, to keep her company. And they don't tell you exactly who's going to be replacing the husband, but I have a feeling it's either like a clone of him or some sort of replica, something that looks exactly like him, but either is not human, it's not him. So that just sounds both interesting and a bit disturbing. And then you add in like the quiet, farm life. So I'm really interested to read this and see if this author is one that I find interesting. And I'm glad that it's super short because if I don't like it, I can easily get through it. And next we have Ruin by John Gwynne. This was supposed to have been read in September and I just did not get to it. I probably will do a September wrap up because I ended up DNFing 2 books in September, which I think took time away from me getting to the Faithful and the Fallen series. But I read Valor in August, I think, and I have a full review for that. I'll link it up in the cards. And I really do want to finish with this series by the end of the year. And believe it or not, despite how thick these books are, they are fairly quick to get through. John Gwynne's writing is very accessible. But this is an adult fantasy series, very epic fantasy that involves a whole cast of characters, a lot of different point of views. We're following a good versus evil type setup and essentially a hero's journey for a chosen one. So definitely a lot of those traditional fantasy elements woven into the story, and I would like to get to it. And lastly, when I was trying to choose like a creepy book to read in October, I was having a little difficulty, but then I remembered that I have Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, and my dear friend Andre got this for me a while ago, and I just haven't picked it up yet, and the cover just looks like it would go excellent with the fall creepy season. But this follows a main character that helps clean dead bodies and prepare them for burial, because if they are not cleaned correctly, then their souls and their spirits essentially rise up and they hunt and feed off of humans. So Artemisia, our main character, is training to become a Grey Sister, like a nun that deals with these bodies and prevents these spirits from doing this. But one day, Artemisia is attacked by these like possessed type soldiers, and the only way that she is able to fend them off is by using this ancient artifact. And it turns out this artifact is possessed by this malevolent being. And only people who are known as Vespertines are able to wield this relic possessed by this malevolent spirit in order to fight against this other evil type spirits. So Artemisia eventually becomes a Vespertine, and she is trying to figure out how to protect her city and keep this spirit that is inside this relic from possessing her. So it sounds like kind of a symbiotic relationship between a bad spirit and our main character. And Margaret Rogerson, I've read a couple of her other books, and she's definitely a very, very atmospheric writer. She's so good with using her prose to drag the reader into the experience that I'm actually really excited to give this book a go. Okay, you guys, that is it for my October TBR. Hopefully I can get to all those books. We'll see, as always, or I might read none of them and completely choose a different TBR depending on my mood. We'll see. But let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or what you are reading in the month of October or plan to read, and I will see y'all in another video soon. Goodbye!